A terrible war once occurred on Earth. Countries around the world engaged in a destructive battle using nuclear bombs. 30 years after this event, Earth is nearly completely destroyed. At the beginning of the movie, we see a person named Eli wandering in the destroyed world. Countless dead bodies are scattered around, and the ruins of many houses can also be seen. Amid all this destruction, Eli is somehow managing to survive. He is a highly intelligent individual who has managed to maintain his existence in this hostile environment where people have become nearly cannibalistic, eating each other. In such a situation, Eli continues to live calmly, sustaining himself by hunting animals for food. One day, Eli is seen eating a cat and even using shoes taken from a dead body. Eli carries a box which he keeps extremely safe, suggesting that it contains something valuable. At one point, Eli opens the box and, with his eyes closed, begins to say something. Later, Eli arrives at a village. Here, he plugs his music system into a shop to charge it. In exchange, the shopkeeper agrees to charge it for some cooking spices and a lighter. Since the world is nearly destroyed, money no longer works, and the barter system is now in place. The shopkeeper directs Eli to a shop where he can get some water. At the shop, Eli meets a man named George, who is the powerful leader of the village. As the world has been largely destroyed, people have taken control of whatever land they can. George is seen collecting books from various places with the aim of finding a specific book. Eli eventually reaches the shop, where he asks for water in exchange for some clothes. Some people start to argue with Eli, and a fight breaks out. George observes all of this. Afterward, he calls Eli over and begins asking him questions. George realizes that Eli is very intelligent. He then tells Eli that he is trying to build a better world and needs someone like Eli to help him do so. Eli refuses his offer, but since it gets late, he is forced to stay the night in the village. He is given a room to stay in. However, George's real intention is to use Eli to find the specific book he is looking for. He sends a girl named Solara to Eli's room with the goal of using her body to manipulate Eli. This way, George can control Eli and make him work for him, but Eli turns Solara away. Solara then begs Eli to let her stay in the room, as she fears for her life and the life of her mother if George finds out she left the room. Eli agrees to let her stay and they begin talking. At one point, Eli takes out the box he carries, and from it, he pulls out a book. Solara becomes eager to see the book, but Eli tells her that it is not just any ordinary book, and he does not want to talk about it further. He puts the book back into the box. Then, Eli offers Solara some food. Before they eat, Eli holds her hand and thanks God for the food, life, and everything. Solara is shocked by this gesture because she has never seen anything like it before. She is young and does not know what the world was like before the destruction 30 years ago, so everything Eli does surprises her. The next morning, Solara goes to George and his mother. George asks her, "How did it go? Did you manage to get anything from Eli?" Solara does not answer, but instead holds her mother's hand and thanks God for their food, shelter, and her mother's safety. George is taken aback by this behavior. He realizes that the thing he has been searching for might be very close to him. He asks Solara if Eli had a book and if she had seen it. When Solara does not answer, George begins to abuse her mother. Seeing her mother's suffering, Solara finally says, "Yes, Eli had a book, and it had a special mark. I don't know what kind of book it was." George then asks her to show him the mark. Solara shows him a cross, and immediately, George realizes that the book Eli possesses is the very one he has been looking for, the Holy Bible. George and his men go to Eli's room, but Eli has already left. However, they catch up with him on the road and demand the book. Eli asks why they want it. George replies that he knows the power of the book. He believes that by using the Bible, he can control the people of Earth and force them to serve him, bringing them together under his rule. He wants the book to reshape human civilization. Eli realizes that George needs the Bible because the war destroyed all other copies, and Eli's Bible is the last one left on Earth. George tries to deceive Eli, saying he only wants the book for the good of mankind. Eli, pretending to agree, says that he also wants to do good with it, but he says he has not yet found the right place to use it. After this, he begins to leave. Seeing this, George and his men attack Eli, but Eli fights back and shoots George in the leg. Eli then stands before George's most trusted worker, named Ritres, but for some unknown reason, Eli does not shoot him. Eli leaves, and Solara, who has followed him, insists on coming along. He Eli initially does not want to take her, but agrees after Solara promises to give him plenty of water, which is in short supply in the post-apocalyptic world. Later, Eli and Solara reach a secret place where they collect a good amount of water from a spring. However, Eli leaves Solara there and goes off on his own. On the other hand, we see George, who becomes furious after not getting the book. He tells his people, "Find Eli and that book no matter what. I will rule over these helpless people. I need this book because there is something written in it that will help me take the place of God among these people." After that, George and his people set out to find Eli. Meanwhile, Solara falls into the trap of some people after coming out of the lake. They try to assault her, but Eli arrives just in time and kills them, saving Solara. Then they begin their journey together. Later, we see that George reaches the place where Eli had saved Solara. Since Eli and Solara were walking while George was traveling by car, it becomes clear that Eli would not be able to travel at night and would be tired after a while. Realizing that, they understand that since they are traveling by car, Eli and Solara will be caught by the morning. After night falls, Eli and Solara find a safe shelter. There, Solara asks Eli where he found the book. Eli then tells her the word of God, saying, "One day, in a very strange way, I found this book under a stone. And when I saw this book, it felt like it was telling me to take it to its destination. Take me down the western road. That's why I'm heading towards my goal." The next morning, Eli and Solara set out again. On the other hand, George also sets out to find them. After a while, Eli and Solara reach a house. As soon as they open the door, they fall into a trap. The people of that house had set the trap to protect themselves from unknown enemies, as the world is almost destroyed. To secure themselves, people build such traps so that when the door opens, the floor shifts and anyone standing above it falls into a pit. However, Eli talks to the old man and woman in the house, gaining their trust. The old man then takes them to show something. What he shows them is a graveyard. They had been trapping people and killing them to eat their flesh and burying the remaining bones in the ground. After seeing this, Eli and Solara realize that they are in danger and want to escape. But just then, George and his men arrive. At that moment, Eli, Solara, and the old couple prepare to fight to save their lives. George realizes that they are inside and orders them to come out, but they don't come out. Instead, they throw a box from inside the house. George's trusted worker tries to open the box, and just then, there is an explosion. They then start shooting and Eli fights back. During this, the old woman with them gets shot and dies. George keeps shooting and destroys the house. Finally, Eli and Solara are captured. George asks Eli, "Where is the book? If you don't give it to me, I will kill you." In the end, Solara, with a gun to her head, asks Eli about the book, and Eli says, "The book is behind the television in the room." From there, his men retrieve the book. After George gets the book, he shoots Eli in the stomach and kicks him to the ground. He tells him, "Where is your savior? Where is your God? He didn't come to save you. Pray for me, so I can become the ruler of this whole world." They leave Eli there and take Solara and the book. However, on the way, Solara makes a plan. She takes a rope out of her pocket, ties it around the driver's neck, and the car flips over. Solara gets out of the car, takes a bomb, and throws it at George's car coming from behind. As a result, another car is destroyed. Solara then takes a car and drives away. Meanwhile, George's trusted worker, who had been stabbed in the chest, dies right there. George sees all this and continues on his way with the book towards his goal. Solara was heading to find Eli, and fortunately, she found Eli on the road. Eli tells her, "I am going west." Then Solara starts traveling west with Eli. Solara feels that all of this happened only because of her. But Eli tells her, "You are not at fault in any of this. We must walk the path as God intended." Solara and Eli reach a beach. On the other hand, George, with the Bible in hand, is unable to open it because it had a lock. He tries to unlock it. Eli and Solara travel to the other side of the sea by boat, and when they arrive, an armed man asks them, "What are you doing here?" Eli says, "I have the King James Bible." The man then takes Eli and Solara to a house. There they meet Cairns, who has been collecting various things for many years to restore the world. Cairns asks Eli, "How is the Bible? May I see it?" Eli replies, "Yes, of course." Meanwhile, George finally manages to open the Bible and finds that it is empty. Instead of any writing, there are numerous dots. Now the question may arise, why is there nothing written in the Bible? This Bible was actually made in Braille, the language for the blind. In this language, Different letters can be formed using dots, which blind people can read by feeling them with their fingers. However, George could not read this language. On the other hand, Eli had memorized the entire Bible over the course of 30 years. He had memorized it in such a way that every word, every line, and every sentence was in his mind from beginning to end. And so he began to recite the entire Bible aloud, and the man wrote down everything Eli said. Eli himself became the last living Bible. Meanwhile, George is seen telling Solara's mother to read the book because Solara's mother was blind and could read Braille. But Solara's mother tells George, "I will not read this book." After George persists, she says, "You have sacrificed so much for this book. You have lost many of your trusted men, and now you will see your own downfall." Solara's mother leaves him there. And then George's loyal followers begin to fight among themselves, fighting over the things they looted from the city. On the other hand, Eli continues to recite the words of the Bible, and the man keeps writing. Slowly, Eli becomes very tired because the wound George inflicted on his stomach was gradually taking him towards death. Finally, after the Bible was completely written, Eli dies. But every word that Eli spoke from the Bible was printed later. With faith in God, Eli entrusted God's creation to a good man, so that one day that person could spread Christianity again. Meanwhile, Solara is seen following the path Eli showed her, starting a new life with Eli's weapon, headphones, and clothes. George's fate turned out exactly as it should. He sought to become the owner of the world, but lost his life in the process. And the movie ends here. How did you like today's video? Please make sure to let us know in the comment box. And if you liked it, don't forget to give a like to the video and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.